It's that show that Breezy and Nick do. It's What's West with Uncle Breeze.
So, you're alright, Breeze?
I am indeed, my friend, I am indeed.
So, I was thinking today, what with it being a bit of an intense and heavy week, it might be great just to get a few classic Breezy yarns, a bit of the old Tyldesley story, a bit of the youthful indiscretions, bit of an insight into the simpler, if more West times of a young little Jakey Breeze. So, okay. What have you got for us?
Well, it's difficult to know where to start. Right, so when I was a young lad, we used to call it the Mud Hill. They were a big. What happened is that in Tyldesley Park, it's at the bottom of a steep hill. It used to be steep. Now they built a buzz route on it, so you can't fly down your bike on it anymore. It's just not the same. But I mean, then again, it was Badassley Street. People were getting hit by cars all the time, because it was steep. I mean, mate's brother got hit by one who were never the same. Yeah, he started living at... That's what that bloke I was telling you about. Did I tell you that story about when he were robbing my mate's house and then they caught sight of each other?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they were just like, oh, you all right? And then just dropped the bin bag and went through the back door. And he lived in that caravan at the end of his mum and dad's garden. Yeah, that were on Astley Street, that happened.
Right.
But anyway, and I promise this does get brighter. But yeah, and it has a park running next to it that has like a football pitch on your top bit, and then it used to be a sand pit, but then there were people dropping needles in sand, so they fucked it off and just had sort of soft. It was fine. Nobody got hurt. It was fine, but it was just one of them things where everyone was like, "We'll build some swings then." Like, you know what I mean? That is like council government in Tyldesley down to a T.
Yeah.
There's syringes everywhere. It's all right. You'll be able to see them now. Rather than maybe we should address this problem. Do you know what I mean?
I can see how it's easier to build a set of swings than it is to tackle substance abuse issues.
Yeah. Tyldesley's that kind of place. Like, everything gets done where it's not wrong. Technically, it's not wrong. But it's definitely not the correct way of doing things. That is everyone who lives there, including me. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're a bit nuts. And anyway, in that park, it had zip line, it had shelters, it had football cages, and then right at the bottom, through some trees, there was a football pitch, a big grass one. And we seen a burnt out car on there one day. That was fun. But just seeing it, be like, oh bloody hell, look at that. You know what I mean? And anyway, I don't know how they got it out. But they were gone one day. But anyway, and one day they were building something. I don't know what they were building, but they were building something. And they dumped a load of mud and like soil onto this football pitch. And it were easy. Let me think. See, I was smaller though. I must have only been about...
How many small Jake Breezes high was it?
Yeah, I might have only been about 10. And I remember... It were hard to get up. It were easy, like maybe size of this house, tall, like a pretty hefty mud pile. Yeah. And I'll get to how I kind of knew its dimensions in a minute because I didn't measure it by feet. I measured it by rotations.
So wait, is this the council have dumped a giant mound of mud on the football pitch?
Yeah.
Is this like challenge kind of a deal? What on earth is happening?
Well, they just had nowhere else to put it. honestly, this is true.
Just go around it, lads.
Basically, yeah. Like, I never looked at it this way because to me that always sounded normal. It's only as a 26-year-old man engaged in politics that I'm like, that is mental.
Not when someone goes, oh no, now I've got to change sides and we've got the big hill, so we've got to run up and down it.
Oh no, like you couldn't even. When I say it were a hill, as in like it was steep. Like it was tough to get up it. It was steep. Like, it was really steep.
Yeah.
And the amount of mud there, like... I'll see if I can find a picture of it for you. But it were football size, pitch size, like mound of it. It was massive.
Now I can see why they didn't have anywhere to put it.
Yeah.
Put that in the road, people complain.
Yeah, true, I suppose, yeah, and they're just like, oh, the kids can't walk. But like... And it had fencing round it. But like, I don't even know why they bother putting up that fencing in the concrete. because like instantly it just gets ripped down.
Right.
I've never known any place that when they put fencing up, someone is like, that must come down. That's what I love about Tyldesley, is that like fencing goes up within 4 hours of the workmen leaving. Someone's like, right, that's all coming down. We're going in there, seeing what's going on. They could have gone there any time when there wasn't a fence around it. But we're going in now just to see.
Yeah.
Just that's natural inquisitiveness of Tyldesley. It's just, let's have a look. And so obviously we went in, and I mean the fence was already ripped down by that point, Your Honour. And anyway, and we're walking up it, and obviously we're going up, we're puffing and puffing. We get to the top. Me and like 4 of my little mates. I mean, they were also little because I was also 8. You know what I mean? And we got to the top and we're like, oh, I can see everything from up here. Like, I could see over some trees. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they were low down, and we were like, okay, this is sick. Stood there like kings of the castle, like for ages. And then our mate Joe come, and he were a bit mad. He were the lad who we thought were really cool in high school because he pissed into a sink and then drank out the tap, and we were like, ooh, that's hardcore. Don't know why we thought that. No, don't know why we thought that. But yeah. Anyway, and he comes up, all right, lads. Oh yeah, mate, how's it going? Look what we found this big hill. He's like, right, look what I've just found. And he points down, and there was a blue barrel. You know, like them barrels that the blue body and they've got a black top, and they're airtight. They seal airtight, don't they? And it was just on this construction site. So we looked at each other, and we looked at the barrel. We were like, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" We roll it up, and at first we're just rolling it down, just like watching it smash the fences down, like. And then we got a bit braver, and then we started putting like stones in it and stuff, and rolling it down and watching them fly everywhere. Amazing. You know what I mean? It was a simpler time.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, I hope that hasn't been lost. I hope that hasn't been lost. Of spending a day in a mud hill just throwing things.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the outdoor pursuits have been kind of lost on kids who have, you know, real AAA entertainment piped into their houses every day.
At the same time, cool. You know what I mean? I don't really think you lose much by like not rolling some shit down a hill. You know what I mean? But it's just one of them, innit?
It's the sort of thing that I think you tend to get very wistful about and think the things that you did in childhood. It's like, oh, every kid should do that. But then you try and get your kid to do it, and they're like, that's rubbish.
Well, exactly. Well, I think, yeah, maybe we were the last of that generation, man. But like, yeah.
For now,
yeah. And we were rolling down it. And then this kid come. And we must have been about 10, and he must have been about 8. What are you doing? And then instantly we smelt blood in the water. We were just like, okay, none of us want to be the first to roll down that hill, so we will find a willing volunteer. We were like, it was like, oh, you're right, kid, how you doing? Because at the same time, we were all right with kids who were younger than us. Like, there were a lot of bullying going on. We didn't get involved in it.
It sounds like a rough place to be.
But like, we didn't really get involved in it. Like, we were just like 10-year-old hippies, you know, comparatively. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, whatever. You know what I mean? And he came up to us. He was like, oh, what you doing? He was like, we're rolling this down the hill. Do you want to get in it? And it was like, oh, I don't know. And we were like, go on. For a laugh, go on, it'll be funny. We promise you won't get hurt. All right, then. Bang, straight in. And we're looking at each other then just like, this is it. You know what I mean? So obviously we made sure we chose a bit, because we're only fenced on 3 sides. Which I felt weird, but I think maybe someone nicked the fencing bit. So there was no concrete in front of him where he could hurt himself. We looked over. We're like, right, 1, 2, 3, shove. Instantly, all you hear is ah! Like he's loving it. They're like, ah! But then he hit a bump in floor of the hill and just took off, and we were just looking. But at the time, yeah, you think that as an adult, but as a kid, you're just like, yes, yes, we have flight. You know what I mean? And then he hits the floor, bounces a few times, gets to the bottom, and there's silence. And we laugh, and then we start giggling, and he don't get out, and we're like, what's going on? And he just crawls out, like, well, Dizzy looks and was like, let's do it again. And I was just like, right then. So then he come back up, and then Joe went a bit too far and tried rolling him down vertically. That weren't good. That weren't good.
That's not good.
Luckily, he only went over once, and then fell to the side and went down. But we were kind of like, "Come on, mate, that's a bit serial killer." You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So then, anyway, this kid fucked off, and we're like, "Right, that looked fun," and he didn't die. He was doing it. That's why I went right and got in it. It was a bit wet inside. I don't know why. And then, like,
how much fun / scared excitement was he having?
I mean,
I might have a theory.
It weren't piss. It didn't smell like it. I can remember it clear as day. It didn't smell of anything, but it was just damp inside. Anyway, we were in, and then my head was poking out, and I had hair at this point. You've got to imagine now I've got like a sort of brown, sort of widow's peak, cut short.
It's hard to imagine. I've seen it, but it's still hard to imagine.
Yeah, weird. Then again, I used to have a little blonde mushroom head. You know, like a little blonde bowl cut.
Okay, I've got to see that. We'll do that later.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and Christ, I've just realised this is what I'm going to sound like when I'm old. Fucking hell. I hope this is entertaining.
How do you mean? Just like telling stories about your youth?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's it. You've got there early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it? I never even thought about that.
Yeah. You just get maybe a bit more gravelly.
But anyway, so like, I get in it, and they're like, 1, 2, 3, push. And I didn't want to get air, so I was like, well, avoid that bit. Went down. To this day, a few things have been more exhilarating than going down that mud hill in that barrel. I was going rapid. It was going round, I'm there like, and like, and it was, like, I'm rolling down, like the world has just become a washing machine. And then like I finally get to the bottom, bang, I smash against the fence. I get out, I'm all like wobbly because I can't move. I'm just like, like, you know when something is that good that you just gotta go, like, it's like that, like when you see England score and you've been waiting for it all, and then you're just like, yes, do you know what I mean? Or like when you see someone on the street, like, sort of, I don't know, you know, when you see someone on the street just do a sick burn on someone who deserves it. You know what I mean? You're just like, come on! You know what I mean? It's not...
I mean, we may have slightly different street manners, but I get what you're talking about.
Yeah, like, anyway, it was like that. And I was like, come on, it's great. And we're rolling down it, all of us. And then a crowd started forming. I shit you not, a crowd started forming. It definitely looked like more than it probably was in reality. But in my head, this was the Sermon on the Mount. Like, I was stood there, and there was probably no more, about 30 people, maybe some concerned mothers. I'm stood there, and we're just like, and it was like, you know, like Gladiator, like, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? And I just stood there, and I was like, I've got a crowd now. And I remember that was one of the first times that I really felt it. I was like, I like this.
Before the singing, it was like, maybe I'll do this.
Yeah.
I'll be the barrel boy. My path opens up in front of me.
Exactly that.
What could have been if you hadn't been distracted by music and stand-up, my friend?
The barrel boy. And some kids were like, go on. Honestly, I was like, right. And I swear down, this is what I did next, because I was like the one who wanted to do it the most. Like, I loved the barrel. And I stood and I looked at this small crowd of disciples that had gathered. And you're not going to be able to see it on the... Right, if I just do this, can you just describe what I'm doing?
I'll describe.
So I was sort of like...
Jake Reese is raising his hands triumphantly with clenched fists with a sort of aggressively happy expression.
Did that. Was just like... And then just like... Got into the barrel, popped my head down, and they were rolling me. I mean, obviously, like, there was no drum roll, but in my head there was. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I went, bang, got out, and all I heard was, oh, from like one woman as I hit the fence. Oh. Sorry.
Is that the reaction you're going for?
I don't know what I was going for, but it just made me, even at the time, I was just like, that's amazing. like, how sheltered has this woman been? Like, crawled out a bit, well foot, just like mega dizzy. And then like, I just looked and these kids just sort of went, all right, and just walked off.
Sermon over.
Yeah, sermon
That's
over.
everything I have to tell you today, my children.
Yeah. And we probably rolled down that mud hill in that barrel all summer. All summer. Even after school sometimes.
Did you have to go and take the barrel home, or was it just kind of left there
Just left
as like
there.
a piece of community?
Yeah, it was just left there. Because I mean,
Gotcha.
like, there was just stuff like that all over Tyldesley. There were like barrels and like big sacks with nothing in them. And
It sounds like walking around one of the early levels of a video game.
yeah, it basically was barrels and like empty sand containers and like, you know,
Sort of empty.
yeah, and like every now and then like there was an old factory opposite our school that we broke into once, and like that had like old welding masks and stuff in there. And,
Ooh,
yeah, it was
that's a
cool.
good haul.
Yeah, but anyway, what was I on about then? Yeah, so it's happening.
You
isn't
were
it?
the barrel boy.
Yeah, so anyway, and I went home and I developed this scab on top of my head, and it was growing, and my mum didn't know what it were.
Scabs don't normally.
Yeah, exactly.
grow that much.
Yeah, it weren't like mega growing, but just a bit. Do you know what I mean? And my mum was like, "Why is that on your head? Have you bumped your head?" And I was like, "Nah." Didn't tell them about the barrel. They must never know about the barrel.
Yeah.
Like-
So please don't repeat this to anyone.
Yeah, you know, it's alright. They found out. So like, eventually, I was like, yeah. So I've been rolling down that mud hill in that barrel, and my mum sort of laughed, and then my dad was like, "You've been doing what?" He was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Do you know what's in that barrel?" I was like, "Nah." He was like, "Do you not think they maybe could have been storing something chemical in that barrel? Was it wet inside?" And I was like, "Yeah." It was just like, "Lad, think about what you're doing. It's a barrel on a building site. Well, it's not a building site, but it was like a building site."
It's probably not used for like the tea, is it?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's probably not. What? Because at the time, as a child, I didn't think I just got paranoid. But now, as a fully grown man, I'm just like, it's a pile of mud on a park playing field where there's children. Like, the barrel's blue. Well, it just has water in it. What do they need to use like hydrochloric acid for? Moving some soil. Chill out, old man.
I'm probably siding with Papa Breeze on this one. I think I'll probably also tell my kid, don't get in barrels designed for storing chemicals used on building sites. I'm going to give him that one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But at the time, I was outraged. Do you know what I mean? And we had this big argument. And he was like, "If that keeps growing, I'm going to have to take you to the doctor." And it stayed how it was for a bit and then went back down and disappeared. But I definitely had never cut my head. So I don't know what was in that barrel.
Ooh.
But it was weird.
So if there's a mystery wound, I think this liquid might have been something much more serious. Or maybe it's just the mystical barrel properties.
I don't know, but it's just weird that it was only on my head.
Well, I suppose that, I guess all of you gets thrown around a bit, but the head's very...
I suppose I'm underneath claws for a lot of it, yeah.
Well, I've done that before. Going down like one of those water slides where it has a twisty route, and turns out you can bash your head a whole hell of a lot in a thing that twists round and round.
Yeah, that's fair, actually, yeah, but...
Sounds like you did it a lot as well.
Oh, yeah, I did it a lot. Every day.
It's sounds a bit miraculous that you only got one head wound out of this shenanigan.
Yeah.
Well played.
Have you noticed that, though? Like, I was always running into... Was you always running into stuff as a kid?
Do you mean like physically running into a thing?
Yeah, like cars. Like no, like...
Or whatever.
No, like parked cars.
Not really.
Really? I used to run into parked cars loads, me.
I mean, it's better than running into a non-parked car, but still...
I run into a parked car opposite my house when I was about 9 or 8. Bust my nose, blood all over the front of a Land Rover. She come out, "Are you sick of me for getting blood on a car?"
Classic Land Rover owner.
It's like, "What are you doing, lady? I've just gone through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Look at my nose, I'm crying."
So what was it? Was this running for an ice cream truck? Was it just general exuberance?
Just general exuberance on the street.
This is too young to be looking at the phone, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the...
Just playing hide and seek tick.
Right.
But because there wasn't a big green space near us, we were just playing on the street.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you're at the age where you can only play on the street? And like, just nailed a Land Rover.
So how often did this happen?
Quite a lot. Not to that, just that Land Rover, but like any street I were on, someone was running into a car. It weren't just me, everyone was doing it.
Right.
Not on purpose. It just happened.
Just not good at seeing cars?
I don't know. When there's cars parked everywhere and you're running on tarmac, like, and you're only small, like...
That's the thing, you're quite small, the cars are quite big and noticeable. Like, stubbing your toe, easily done, maybe misjudging how many steps there are, or like, you know, missing a low-hanging branch, but like, I've rarely been like, oh, that's a car I've collided with.
But it's like, because you're looking behind you for see who's chasing you, and then you just hit a car.
Right.
Or you're looking, waiting for the ball, and then you just hit a car.
Mm.
You know what I mean? That's the worst one, because then the ball hits the car, and then they go twice as mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing in my car? I would never shout at a child that would run into my car.
Mm.
Like, a living child has run into your steel car. do you know what I mean? Like, am I just mental? Like,
Me crumple zones.
it's like, oh, you've probably dented it. It's like it's a child running at about 1 mile an hour. Get over yourself. But like, people are weird, aren't they? But anyway, I mean, there were a bloke who used to drive a van on Tom Street. Shit, I've just said his name. We'll have to...
So, Mr. X's street, indeed.
Yeah, on my mate's street, who we used to throw a cricket ball at his van. It were only an air ball, it weren't a proper cricket ball.
Right, okay. Yeah, I was going to say, that's a classic, quite a hard ball, the old cricket.
Yeah, so like, what we do is you throw it... We'd stay out late, and it'd be this air ball, just terrorising Tom Street, like... This, the van were parked there, and it got like a pest control company. And you used to launch it from end of the street, and it had to go. And the noise was so satisfying because you'd always hit it on the door, so it echoed. It go doing, and then just go ree 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 ree. We'd run off, and he'd come out going ah. But he couldn't work out what it was. He never worked out it was us. Like he'd come out and be like, oh, what's going on? Where's this guy happening? We'd been running off going, fuck you, like running off. Like, he never caught us ever. Didn't know who we were. Because he knew something were happening, but he didn't know what. Because what it were is like, we weren't throwing it from like the end of the street. We were throwing it from probably like, maybe no more than 8 foot down the pavement. So you could throw it in a certain way that what you'd do is you'd throw it, it'd bounce, and as you're running, it'd come to you. So you could scoop it up as you were running and just go.
Wow. So
he'd come out and have no idea what were happening.
Right.
Like,
the weapon is hidden.
It was fucking... honestly, mate, we were devilish. We were devious as kids.
That is devious.
Like, we were always at it. Do you know what I mean? Just mad stuff. But anyway, that head wound cleaned up. But what I'm saying is, that was like a lot of my childhood was kind of like mischief. Just causing mischief. You know what I mean? Like nothing bad. Like we weren't vandals. Do you know what I mean? Because that's even at that age we were like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't smash a bus stop up.
Yeah, kind of dick move on every possible level.
Yeah, and like as well, like come on, you know, like everyone lives here.
Yeah, it's your community.
Yeah, it's your own place.
It's someone's community anyway. Like the idea of messing up a public space, turning things into broken glass, like.
I had a lot of problems with vandalism actually, Tyldesley. We've had a lot of problems with vandalism. Yeah, it's been a downer. Although one of the best ones was someone breaking into an old abandoned school and writing in the window "Shack on tour." That was pretty funny. Because Shackley's like an estate near Tyldesley.
Right.
So you go down through the main strip of Tyldesley, go down, there's a pound stretcher on your left, and then a McDonald's after it. And as you go right, that road's called Rutland Road, and my grandma used to live near there, and my uncle's down. And you go down Rutland Road, and it's long, man, long. I used to deliver the post on Rutland Road every now and then, and honestly, it feels like you're walking Mordor, like it's long, man. There's like a brook that runs perpendicular to it, and a big patch of grass. And one day on that patch of grass, me and my mate were walking through Shack. I can't remember what we were going to buy, but it was some kind of drink or something that they only sold in this corner shop in the middle of Shack.
Right.
And two lads in a Subaru Were it a Nissan Skyline or a Subaru Impreza?
This is important. Get this right.
I think it were a Subaru Impreza.
Cool.
With a spoiler on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just Google Subaru Impreza.
Yeah. This is.
No, never. It don't matter, does it? Doesn't matter, does it? Like, I'm pretty sure it were. I'm pretty sure it was a Subaru Impreza with a spoiler and a white. Two lads in it were doing donuts round us.
Yeah.
And
they're doing donuts around you, like were they doing donuts and you walked in the middle, or they saw you and were
they saw us
wheeling around.
They saw us come off the road and just started doing like spins round us.
Right.
It didn't go on for like hours. They probably did it like twice and got off. And when I say donuts, like I'm not talking like fucking Tokyo Drift. You can make a car do a donut pretty easily. Do you know what I mean? I can't because I can't drive for shit. But like most people can. And they just went round us a couple of times. Pretty fast as well. We must have only been about 16.
Mm-hmm.
And then but we were that fucked in the head that we just started laughing as they were doing it. And they could see us laughing. And we were just laughing. It never even clicked that like this is horrifically dangerous. We were just kind of like, this is mad, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just laughed and they just got off and they drove off. I mean, not nearly said his name then. Me and my mate T looked at each other and were just like, oh, fucking mad, that wasn't it? And just went and got our drinks and carried on like nothing had happened. I've not thought about that in years because this was the same estate where we seen two lads at Christmas walking down the street with baseball bats over their shoulders, and one of them had a Santa hat on. Like, it was a weird place, man. Like, buses driving through there, drivers that be made aware that a lot of the times kids would pelt them after school, like eggs and stones and shit. Jesus. It was a mad place, yeah, but funny.
I can completely see why you want to cultivate the ability to laugh at that kind of a thing. If you get traumatised by things that are traumatising, it's probably going to be a bit of a rough childhood for you in Tyldesley.
Oh, it weren't traumatising, though.
Well, no, I'm saying you've obviously, things were like, oh, people are driving cars near me at high speed on, dangerous circumstances. This is a bit of a mad laugh. That's just got to be a better way of getting through. I think if you're a bit more sheltered, I think you might find it a little bit more disturbing. But your approach is better for your environment.
Mate, I've never thought of that until recently, of like how mad that is.
That's not like a friendly wave from a passing car. That's like, yeah, pretty child endangery type stuff.
Yeah, but then again though, like I like being on that little bit of I might get harmed here. Like for example, I think it all stems back from when my mum on bonfire night. I used to love bonfire night, best night of the year. We used to live next door to a group of people who got me into music. Cool people. And like, it was my best mate Jake's dad, my dad, and then the dad next door who also called Paul.
Jake's and Paul's all around.
Yeah. And they'd get together every year and we'd have like competitions about who could let off biggest fireworks. And like it got ridiculous. One year, like Jake's dad taped like 4 of them together and just set them off, and like it was fucking amazing for to watch. Like big. It got a bit ridiculous at one point, like how much the competition went. Like it got dangerous, so very dangerous. But and hence though why I loved bonfire night. Like it was just watching explosions that like you didn't even see on war movies, and just being like, this is the shit. Do you know what I mean? Like for a young lad who loves fire, just being like, this is amazing. And anyway, and then my mum one year, the lads from next door, my mate Jake, his mum, his dad, and then a couple more of the family round for bonfire night. We used to keep bonfire night better than Christmas. We loved bonfire night. I mean, Mum had just made some meat and potato pies that she'd got wholesale from Clapham's. There's a bakery called Clapham's, and if you shout them in advance, they'll do you like 20 plate pies for nothing. Check them out. Yeah, and what's it? So she brought them over, and I could remember because that's what I were eating when it happened. And I'm eating this meat and potato pie, and I can smell it now. I could smell like
Cordite?
No, what's it called? That Grace made.
Pie.
Treacle.
Right.
And pie. And I could smell treacle as well. Smoky kind of. And then I come downstairs, and we used to have some stairs going down from from like some patio doors into a garden, and it were like flags, and then it were grass. We're all stood there on flags. My mum goes over and puts like a cake in ground, like when there's about 12 shots in it, and it were a pretty big one. As in like,
wait, in a cake?
That's what you call them, blocks of fireworks.
Right.
They call cakes.
Right, okay.
It were a cake of like 12, 15 shot firework.
Right.
And because we couldn't dig a big enough hole in ground, we kept the big ones just between two sandbags, which is extremely dangerous, and I would not recommend anyone does it. That may have only allegedly happened pending government investigation. Anyway, and then so she put it in the. Again, I must have been no more than about. At this point, I must have been again maybe about 8 or 9. And my mum put it in, and she hadn't put the sandbags on close enough, and they only noticed once fuse were going. But they thought, maybe it'll be all right. First one goes up, it rocks a bit. Everyone's like, "Huh?" Second one rocks a bit more. Third one, one at sandbags falls out, from next to it, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" But kind of just stood there, and I walk onto the grass to have a look. My dad's like, "Whoa!" Thing falls over, pointing at everyone who's in garden. I shit you not, this happened, right? I leant back, like fucking Matrix, leant back and fell on my back. I swear to God, one of them went over my fucking head. Like, as I were going down, he went, honestly, if you want proof, I shall ring up Papa Breeze. He was an adult of age that saw that and has attested to it many a time that happened. Because no one ever believes me when I tell them that story, and it fucking happened, right? It went straight over me. So obviously I hit the deck, and I roll onto my stomach, and as I roll over, I can hear screaming, and all I hear is over my head, and like it's blowing up on patio, and there's people are just panicking, scattering everywhere. There's people jumping over the gate, there's people running up the stairs, there's people stood there not knowing what to do. Another one, and I'm just lay there thinking, if I move, I'm dead. So I'm just lay there, like, looking. I'd seen enough war films. I knew what taking cover were. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, and when that happens, you learn to love the ground. Love the ground, kiss the ground, fuck the ground, get as into the ground as you can get. And I'm like squeezing into the ground. Another one over my head. And like by this time, people are losing their shit. So then, like, they run up the decking. Was I 8 or was I 10? I think I was 10. It might have been 10 actually, or 11. Anyway, it's like what the people are running upstairs. Eventually, they stop, and there's a big pause. And all you hear is, "Bloody hell, Jane!" My dad just stood there in the middle of just. Stood there, cool as a cucumber on top of steps. Bloody hell, Jane. At this point, everyone starts laughing. I was like, "Woo!" We're just like, right, no more for Mum tonight. No more for you tonight now. And then the rest of the night just went on. But that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
And that gave you the taste for the danger life.
I think so, because since then, I craved that feeling loads. You know what I mean? Of just like, ooh.
You're always chasing that dragon now.
A little bit.
Like, oh, it's all right, but I mean, it could be a bit closer to my head. It's not really.
Yeah, like I don't know why that is. You know what I mean? I've always been into it. Like we had a mate who used to give us lifts to gigs as a band in his van. He was an electrician. Totally illegal because there's only 2 seats, so it was just us, two people in front, and I always chose to go in back because it felt dangerous. And like there's like loose music equipment just, like sliding everywhere. It was fucking
that is dangerous.
It was mad at the time. Yeah.
So
what we used to have to do is like if you had to put one leg up against the wall and just lean against it, and then eventually if you took the amps in right, they'd just stick. So then we just sit there and back. If we would have crashed, we all would have been dead. It would have been horrific. We would have been seriously maimed, but we never were. I remember one time we were coming home from a gig, and we just come out of a KFC, and I was stood in van, like, crouched in front of Dean, and then, like, it was just getting going. I was like, keeping my foot, and I went, Dean, look, surfing. And before I could say surfing, he slammed on and just went bang straight to the side of the van. Like, you know, like a cartoon, you know, they hit the wall, just slid that wall, and Dean's there just like, ah! But yeah, but again, like, that's what I'm saying, like, my childhood and my sort of adolescence is just 1,000 stories like that. Like, Tyldesley as a place is just 1,000 stories type like that. I'll move on to some of the nutters. Like, I've met some nutters in pubs in Tyldesley. There were a bloke when we used to go in a place called, what were it called? It was called the Black Horse. It's a solicitor's now. And you go in and it were like, you know that place where you just know that, like, there's 16-year-olds getting served, but it's all a bit under the rug, so it's all right. Every now, as long as you didn't fuck about, the people left you alone. You know what I mean? And in fairness, I've never seen the appeal me, but I've always found pubs boring, always. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, unless you're with, like, loads of people, actually just being in a pub's pretty boring.
It's normally the company.
Yeah.
Usually you can have the company elsewhere if you want to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, it's probably often we just get in from the cold, because it were cold a lot.
Yeah, I think often the classic if you're 16 is like parks and bus stops, right? So I can see the pub as a certain allure.
Is it me, or is it just always cold when you're a teenager? I've just looked back and, like, pretty much all my memories of it being cold.
Is it because you were outside?
Yeah, probably.
If you were outside in the Manchester area...
Yeah, we used to freeze, man.
That's probably it,
yeah. But anyway, and we met a bloke in there. I can't remember his real name, so I'll just call him Mickey. But he come up to us, we were about 17, and he had no teeth apart from one canine and then two, like, you know, the front ones.
Wow.
That's all he had. It were a weird look.
Yeah.
And he had a really small head. You know when people drink too much and maybe are like on,
shrinks.
and maybe or maybe on something a bit stronger and their head shrinks.
No.
Check it out. Like, there's just people, when you see them, you'll know. There's people who've got shrunken heads.
Because I really thought that was a pretty predetermined size. I didn't think that was I know you can make it a lot bigger, but I didn't.
Booze can make your head bigger as well. Makes you puff up. Booze makes you swell up.
Yeah, I know. People, I know it's easy to imagine people getting, like, puffy from, like, you know, substance issues. But I thought, you know, the heads are fairly. Living head shrinking is an interesting one. But again, I've not been to Tyldesley.
Mate, all I know is that he had a small head, and I'd seen loads of people with him. Don't know what was going on. There doesn't seem to be as many of them outside of Tyldesley. I don't know why that is. But anyway, he come up to us and he was like, "Alright, lads." I'm like, "Alright." He was like, "Listen, let me buy you a drink." I'm like, "Why? What's going on? What's your name?" He's like, "Mickey. Just got out of prison today. Tell you, mate, never going back. Shouldn't have even gone in first place. It's my mental health." And in fairness, maybe he was just ahead of the game, because we were only about 17, so that were 9 years ago. Mental health was not as much talked about then.
Yeah.
And he was just like, because sometimes, you know, I can be the nicest guy in the world, and then his face, it was terrifying. His face just dropped and he went, "And sometimes I just go sick and stab people, you know what I mean?" And we were just like, whoa. Because but the thing is, though, he was definitely semi-joking. But we were like...
He wasn't pulling out of nowhere. That was him doing an impression of him when he's stabbing people.
Yeah, it was just dark humour, but, like, we were like, whoa.
Yeah.
And we're like, "You're all right, Mickey. You carry on, son. You have a strong ball. We're all right. We'll go in a minute." And, like, we've seen him a few times. There was the guy who we used to call the guy on pills, because he were on pills,
right.
in the pub, and would frequently go into a little patch of... what's it called? The flooring, PVC.
Lino?
Lino. There were a patch of lino in the middle of this pub, and there were a fruit machine about 3 foot onto its left. And this lino was probably no bigger than, say, like 8x4. And he would just dance from 7 p.m. Friday until it closed at midnight. He were a big lad, big boy, big man. sweaty fella, sweaty guy.
Mm.
And he didn't care, he was going for it. And people would come up to him all night and have a little dance with him, and then he'd just carry on. Off his tits.
That's not a bad little exercise regimen by the sound
No
of
one
it.
knew him. No, we asked every single person at pub, do you know who he is? No. No one knew him. Don't know who he was. Still don't know who he is. Just know him as the guy on pills. Like we had one guy... we had one guy who he's called Mr. Tickle. He's dead now, so we won't mind. But he's called Mr. Tickle, and he only had a little finger and a thumb on his right hand. And he was about 80 odd. And on afternoons, when school had finished, he'd stand at the corner of the church. That's another story about Tyldesley. We got a bigger church than we were supposed to do because someone messed up the plans. How good's that? Straight up.
You get from the planning process to having the whole thing sort of built before someone's like, wait, wasn't it supposed to be half the size?
Yes, straight up. Like
It's like stretch out into the road or something.
Atherton was supposed to have a bigger church than us. But we got it's a well known story that we got the bigger church by accident.
Have that Atherton.
Tyldesley Church is massive. It's huge, mate. It's a really big church, and it just makes me laugh. In fairness, it was in the 1700s or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it were it happened in 1980. It were ages ago. Most churches are old, aren't they? You don't see many new churches, do you?
Well, not ones that look like the nice old ones. You get a few bricky things.
Well, that's what was funny is that were a Protestant church, and then there were a Methodist church opposite row that just looked like a bungalow, which we always used to have a laugh at. It looked like a butty, like it sold butties. You know, and it had double glazing with the plastic. It looked like that, and there's stained glass Tyldesley, oh. And that way where Reverend Stratton would go do his thing. Bullshit Stratton. We used to have a guy called Mike in school from there who would come in and sing Jesus songs.
Mm-hmm. Coming to the school?
Yeah, he'd come in every now and then. John, anyone who's from the north, when I say John 15:12, and
that's your turn to respond, everyone.
And anyone will know who had Mike coming in the school what the next lyric is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to leave that there.
Brilliant.
But anyway, back to what I was on about. Mr. Tickle would stand outside this big brick church with a flat cap on, which wasn't unusual at the time. Quite a lot of our blokes in Tyldesley wore flat caps, and he had a sort of dark khaki anorak on that he always had his arms folded. The rumour was that he had no on underneath it, but I seen him in a vest once, and he had and he had his arms folded across him, so you couldn't see his top. Glasses. He only had 2 teeth.
Right.
Very gummy.
Bit of a theme.
Yeah, weird. Mega pale, wrinkly, brown pants and then brown shoes. And he'd stand there, just looking into the distance, and go, "You all right? Hello, you all right?" At every kid that passed, and then every now and then, if someone got too close, he'd get his thumb in his little finger hand and go, "Ah!" at you, and try tickling you. And he were a bit of a pedo, I think. But at the same time, there's never been a consensus on that. Because some people said he were a pedo, and other people said he was just an eccentric old man. People associated with the church loved him. My grandma loved him. He spoke in church a lot. But I seen in his eyes he were mental him. There was something not right there. And there were a rumour going round that he got caught with a girl at his house, but I think that were bollocks. Because you'd hear about that. You know what I mean? Anyway, Mr. Tickle, yeah, he were mad. You used to spot him. We got to the point though where I couldn't be arsed walking past him. I was like, "Come on, man, I just want to go home. I don't want you going today at me."
Yeah. If it's cute, it's probably only for the first or second time.
Yeah, we had a lad called Mad Steve, who I think was developmentally challenged. I think was the diagnosis. An old bloke who's run around in shorts and t-shirt with a water pistol filled up with piss, apparently.
Oh.
We've seen his water pistol. Now, we're not sure if it were piss or it weren't. But, he used to shoot people with his water pistol. He were mad.
Is this in church or just in Tyldesley?
Just in Tyldesley, running
just
about.
Around,
He'd just be running about. Sometimes he'd come onto the park, sometimes he'd be in Main Street, just running about. Hey! Everyone knew about him.
Yeah.
Apparently you weren't allowed to ask him. It was like common folklore that you weren't allowed to ask him how old he were, because it made him sad. So we didn't.
Yeah, okay.
And then we heard a lad say it to him once on Cages, how old are you, Steve? And everyone was just like, leave.
Not cool.
And this lad was ostracised completely. Which, in fairness, I've got to give it to that community. When we did it right.
Yeah.
We fucked up a lot, but when we did it right. Anyway, so Mad Steve, he were mad, obviously, hence the name. We had a lad who I'm only going to, again, name as Jonathan. That weren't his real name, obviously. And his last name began with a D. So we used to call him Johnny D. Now, his real name did sound like that. You know what, he was called Tommy D.
Right.
Called Tommy D, he were called. I've just realised how the fuck is that going to work if you don't know his real name. Anyway, Tommy D, he were only small as well. And you know one of them kids that kind of always looks like they've just fell over and they're just about to get up.
Yeah.
Like they've got that kind of look about them. Victim. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he had glasses on and he were like sort of like mouse-ish. Do you know what I mean?
I knew some kids, and I don't know if it was just leaning into something or just trying to. I don't know. I always found it very strange. Like it was one of those often like, are you trying to get bullied?
Yeah.
Like it seems to be really going for something.
Yeah, like, come on, brother. Like we can sort this out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel bad saying victim, but at school, that's the mentality, innit?
I mean, you can get victimised for so much at school.
Yeah,
like
you can.
it is hard, and you don't really get a lot of. You often don't really get the leg ups that you need when you need them to sort of get that bit of advice. But there is some behaviour where you're like,
you're mental.
Well, just like have you not seen what kids are like? It's year 7, maybe you get a pass because you've got to try and figure out what the hell's going on. It's like. This is year 8. Why are you... It's like you're antagonising the most aggressive people.
Well, that's the thing, mate. Like, because it were a bit mad, and like it did get terrored big time. Not just by us in our year, by everyone in all years, even upward terroring that had never been heard of. He changed the game. I'd never heard of upward bullying before, where younger kids bully older kids. Yeah, that were a sight to see. But like. School always felt kind of like you had a laugh. All you were trying to do was just get through the day, hoping that you didn't get terrorised. You know what I mean? And if you got through that day, happy days. And there was a hierarchy of that terror inconsistency. You know what I mean? Which one of them things. But anyway, Tommy D used to run around. Everyone used to call him penny picker because he used to run about picking up 2p's at dinner. And it got to the point where if you chucked a load of 10p's in her, he'd shoot about getting them all. Which now that I look back's really dark, but at the time was quite funny.
Another theme.
I will say that I never engaged in any 2p throwing. Though I did engage a lot of throwing grapes at the toast queue. That was funny. Like there was the food tech like building bit that every school had.
No, but.
Like kitchens, when you had like cooking in school?
We didn't have that.
Did you not?
No.
All the schools in the north had cooking. That's mad.
No.
That's weird. Anyway, the cooking sheds. There was always a woman doing toast.
Did you have toast classes?
No, I said.
Right, today in week 3 of toast,
I mean,
we're going to look at how to butter.
I mean, should I say this? I definitely knew of a lesson in the education support room where certain members of my year were learn taught how to butter toast.
Wow.
Which is pretty intense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's like...
Yeah.
If you want to go to Boiling an Egg University, you're really going to have to knuckle down.
Yeah, mate. But yeah, I was saying about it then. And they would sell toast for 20p a slice out of there.
Right.
And kids would line up, and them old pictures of lines of unemployed men.
Yeah. The little bread lines.
It looked like that, literal bread line. But we discovered that because it was next to a brick wall, if you threw grape at the correct velocity, it would explode either on someone's face or on the top of the thing in front of them and splatter about 3 people with grape. But the thing was is that they were fucked, because if they moved, they'd lost the place in line.
No more toast.
And they were further enough back that they couldn't go, "Aye!" to like the one who was serving the toast, because she's busy serving toast. She's doing a thing. She's got the radio on. She's loving it. She's listening to Heart. You know what I mean? She's having a great time.
She's having an amazing day.
She's loving it.
Yeah.
I'd love to sell toast for a living.
It does sound pretty amazing when you put it like that.
Like, what do you want? Let me guess. Do you know what I mean?
Every hour of every day.
Yeah. And
What'll it be? Some toast?
yeah. And you could throw these, and it got to the point, because obviously as you got older, you didn't go to the toast queue. It's like, it was sort of like an established thing. Like, if you were going to the toast queue past like year 9, and it were always shit toast, proper floppy toast.
Oh.
Fuck that.
No, I can't have that.
Yeah. But anyway.
Is it because it's been buttered by some of the kids in the special education building?
Ooh, Nick Beach.
I'm just asking. I'm looking at a toast professional who you're painting me has the dream job and is just serving amazing toast. And I'm thinking, is there a bit of a conspiracy? Someone's been buttering some toast, yesterday. Wheel it on out. Here you go, grape splattered child.
I mean, I'll tell you the story in a minute, but I'll finish this one. So, like, yeah, you're right. Like, there was something going on, because I don't understand how that much bread is toasted to feed that many people at the same time, because they were packing it out.
Suspicious.
Yeah, very suspicious.
Old toast, don't.
But I mean, we were too busy exploding grapes. Do you know what I mean? And then, like, oh god, there were some sweet shots, like, you know what I mean, like some peaches. But that's just reminded me of when we started we started up like a little ring in our primary school. We must have been no more than about, say, our year 6, so it would have been 10 or 11. And we started a little ring, me and my mate Jake and a couple of other lads, a little conspiracy, where you could, at the tuck shop, if you were a prefect, you could like control the tuck shop, like do the tuck shop at dinner.
Right.
And in return, you got like a free thingy bar. You know what I mean?
Right. Terrible deal. As with anything being a prefect, I think.
Yeah. And there was these juices, and the most valuable juice, even though they cost the same, the most sought after juice was mango.
Makes sense.
So what we'd do is we'd always ensure with other people, we'd buy them off with like bits that we'd lifted from this tuck shop. We'd buy them off and be like, listen, let us swap with you, so that we were always with our mates. When we were doing anything to do with what's it called, prefecting. We were just like, oh, swap with us so I can go with my mates. Like, yeah. So it was pretty sweet. And anyway, you go outside, and then there'd be a few of us in like this little ring of just like, when they come up, they'd be, oh, yeah, right, lad. What do you want? Oh, can I get a chocolate tracker bar and a mango? And you just save them, under thing, because you knew what they wanted. You get the orders down, you'd save them under the desk that you were doing it from. When they come up to you, go, yeah, no worries. They give you 50p, and you just put it down, pick up 50p, and give it on back. Just be like, there's your change, and get off. So we had a little smuggling ring going, and then
wait. So what's the racket?
So basically, the racket was free chocolate bars for all your mates.
Right. Oh, right. So, okay.
You know what I mean?
Right, all right.
And
there's a charade of payment.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, like, also, you'd buy people off. Not mega. Obviously, it wasn't like the fucking mafia. You know what I mean? You'd just be like, oh, lad, I'll give you a chocolate bar if you swap with me and let me be with my mate for dinner.
It's a little mini mafia. Just
yeah.
A little one.
And, oh, shit, yeah. And we eventually got busted, but never got found out who it were. Cause,
as in you never found the rat?
Yeah, as in like no one grassed us up. It was just the fact that the amounts weren't adding up. The money wasn't adding up.
That's going to happen pretty fast. So the crime got busted, but not the criminals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we got busted big time, and we were shitting it, thinking like they're gonna know, but nobody grasped.
But it can't be the prefects. They're obviously good, wonderful people.
Yeah, mate.
I didn't have you pegged for a prefect, Jane Breeze. Was this particularly just to do this sort of tuck shop racket and similar?
I wasn't a prefect in high school, but I was a prefect in primary school because there was points where, for example, once like a month or something, you'd go out of a lesson and like answer the phones for a bit. But the best one, like, you know, you'd be like, "Hi, you through to St George's C of E Primary School. Who would you like to be transferred to?" When the calls come in. So that was pretty cool.
Wow, I'd never heard of a prefect in primary school. That's a new one.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had those.
Yeah, it was cool.
That makes a lot more sense to me, because the idea of being like 10 years old and being like, I'm allowed to leave the classroom, I can take a call, that actually seems quite cool. Whereas by the time when you're allowed to do it in high school, it's like...
I mean, that was reserved for like year 6, about to leave. Do you know what I mean? And like they'd be like, "Look,
a little taste of young adulthood."
Yeah, basically, yeah. It was really cool they did that. In fact,
that is cool. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially when you're about to go to like big scary school.
Yeah, and then like, but the other one was the job that everyone wanted was door monitor, especially during a wet play, because you could just do whatever you wanted. You'd fuck around, no one knew what you were doing, and also. When you were a door monitor, when it was hot, people would be coming in and out, and like you had to police the bathroom. Like you're only allowed 3 people in at a time, and so like what was cool though was that no one was coming checking on you, so then you could just chill with your mates. And
Who
just chat.
polices the police?
Yeah, and just chat and like, you know, have a laugh, and like there was loads of cooking books there, and my mate Jake punched me for calling it the Jakey Emmy Army Cakey because like it was a tank, and I kept saying it was his. And he hated it. Don't know why. Don't understand that one. But it was funny. Anyway, and one day there was this lad called Daniel who had a skinhead when he was like year 4. Proper like buzz cut. And we were like, this is a bit weird. And he was a bit of a knob and everyone hated him. And he once took a shit on edge of a toilet and didn't flush it. And it was known to be him. And then I seen a picture of it and it was massive. He got in shit for that. Quite literally. But anyway, and then one day... the entire school decided that it were like you know that episode of Louis Theroux where he walks into that South African like township and there's a load of people baying after that guy's blood because he's been fucking with the community. Like it were like that. Literally, this kid ran in, like he was terrified, like sweating, ran in. We closed the door and he was like, "Lock the door." We locked the door and we were like, "What's going on?" Because obviously we hated him as well. It's like, "What have you done?" He was like, "Just wait." And I shit you not, a wave of easy, like 40 to 50 angry kids ready for blood were like coming after him, like they were climbing up the door. Like, you know, it was like
zombie movie.
Yeah, it was like zombie movie. And like me and Jake were just sat there, just like, what's going on? And like they were like, nah, at the door, like you know, like that bit in Lord of the Rings, like they have a cave troll. It was like that, like they were just like, "There's him," and we're just like looking at each other. And it was like this little point, you know, in like a game where it's just like, do you go evil or good? And we were just looking and we were like, we don't like him. So we could just let him at him. But then we looked and we were like, but if we let them all in, we're going to be in more trouble. And we were looking, and we were just like, nah, we can't.
It doesn't really sound like a good versus evil choice. It sounds sort of like...
But we could have thrown him down forever. We could have just let the rabble have him. And just let the jungle decide his fate.
No, yeah, no one's going to say anything at the end. You'll just walk away hands thinking, "Oh, I don't know. I was monitoring the other door. Goodness knows."
So that was a fun thing that happened. Was there any
that was a poo riot. Is that the same? Is that the link? Is that?
We never found out what he actually did.
Really?
No, we never found.
Never actually found out why there was a horde of zombie-style children.
No, I don't know why we never did. But like, because one of them that happened like halfway through dinner.
Right.
So by the time it was over, by the time dinner was over, we'd already moved on to the next topic of conversation. Because shit like that was happening all the time, you know, like people chasing people and stuff.
Yeah.
Like we had a girl who we used to have like bark. This is all at primary school, and like a tyre park, you know, like with tyres sticking out the ground that you can jump onto, a lot of bark. The first day we figured out that if you just... because you could use the tyres as cover, and we just threw them at each other. And then like eventually someone got hit in the eye, and we were like, "Whoa, no face!" And then the guy would run, and then we'd all be running after him, and then the school would run after him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely remember that phenomenon of like someone's chasing someone. Oh, let's chase it, and then it's just the whole whole school just chasing some kid around. Yeah.
Like when a dog gets in school. You never had that?
I mean, no.
That used to happen all the time. Like, a dog, you'd just run into primary school and it'd be like, everybody get inside! And it'd just be this dog running about, loving life. Like we'd just be in classrooms, like, waiting for it to get caught. And for some reason, there seemed to always be builders in the area. So they'd just come with a football.
Rolling barrels around.
Digging up and dumping it on the park. But yeah. So, like, he'd just come in with a flat football and it'd just grab onto it, like, and he'd just take it out, and then we'd all be like,
That's good technique.
Yeah. I think they were building something on school.
But you didn't know?
It were a paint. I don't know, I can't remember. You don't think about that, do you?
No, it's just like, it's an adult.
It was quite a new primary school, though, because the primary school that I started going to when I was first going primary school would have been in the year 2000 or the year 90. No, it would have been 99. In 99, when I first started going to school, it were two separate buildings. It were a big, massive old building, and they were building the new one that I started going to, like, the year after. But at the time, it was this big old building, and it, like, because I must have been, like, reception, and you used to have to walk to another room to go and get your dinner in this little, like, it looked like a shipping container. It weren't a shipping container, but that's in the very hazy memories I have of it. That's what it looked like. And yeah, that were a weird one. I don't know why I've got onto that. I'm just mental, innit?
we were trying to figure out what they were building at your school.
Well, yeah, that's where they were a new school, and that's why they were building. They were always adding things to it. I am actually an old man, Anna.
Oh yeah.
This is bad. Isn't it?
This is not news, James. You've been an old man ever since I met you. Really. Just lean in, mate. Just lean in. It's almost painless, apart from the inevitable aches and pains.
I just don't want to be that guy. It's like we're in 2012, or we're in 2013, and we're different then. We're different.
The thing is, it's gonna be so different then. Well, from now.
Yeah.
Like, things are gonna get pretty wild, I think. Like I'm already sort of trying to rehearse, trying to explain to any potential progeny I might have, of, like, not having the internet. How do you explain that? Doesn't make any sense. How immediately old do you sound saying that to someone from the 21st century? I
mean, in fairness, I have very hazy memories of before the internet. The internet, basically, I've always
what a time.
Dial-up is my earliest memories. I think, yeah. Then again, I'm 94, so like
really?
The internet is technically. I think the internet happened in 93, 92.
I know that. Well, there was the internet first, and then the World Wide Web was when we all started surfing. Well, sort of some of us.
When was the World Wide Web? I'm pretty sure World Wide Web was 92.
www. Yeah. It was an amazing time. I remember being shown Google for the first time.
I do remember Google
by my cool friend. Like, remember online searches used to take about a minute to load.
I used to love Ask Jeeves.
Very good. Yeah. I remember going to the library to get books to read.
I had a library card.
If you can imagine that, like, yeah, it was pretty.
First, our library mainly, and then our library actually saw okay. Tills actually fought to keep their library open. Good on them.
Good on them, yeah.
Because a lot of people in the community actually don't have the internet and use it. A lot of people looking for jobs, public masturbators, people like that. But yeah, and as well, it's good for the kids having a library.
Oh, I'm extremely pro-library.
Kids' books, yeah.
It's just I very much remember the experience of, being like, I've got to do this project for school, and then just walk into the library and being like, Egypt, and just having to kind of roam around, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it does seem like a foreign country now.
Tell you what, then. What story do you want to hear?
What story do I want to hear?
Yeah. What? Give us a theme, and I'll tell one more to end it.
I want to hear little tiny young little wee Jakey Breeze taking one of his first steps in one of his Jakey Breeze hilarious directions. Little baby Breezy.
Little baby Breeze.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. You're not going to have any good baby stories, probably, but like
let me think.
Little rambunctious youth.
Yeah, right. Now, my mum, when I were a weein', I must have only been about 4, maybe less. Or in kindergarten. Kindergarten's about 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like nursery's like 3 and 4 in it.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and I were in they called it kindergarten in Australia because my mum moved the family to Australia for a year. She got offered a job there. We lived in South Yarra in.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I never told you that.
I don't think I know this about you.
Yeah. We lived in Melbourne in South Yarra for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got some strong memories of Australia, like Blinky Bill, bananas in pyjamas, like flying foxes going past the window at night. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I was a little Aussie for a bit. I had a best mate called Ryan and I could never find him. But anyway...
Just Google Ryan, Australia.
Australian Ryan. And I remember being on my dad's shoulders and going towards the Botanical Gardens. And halfway across the road, I were on my dad's shoulders. And I put my hands over his eyes. In Midland Road. And he was terrified, going, Jack, I can't see. I was like, come on, it'll be fine. And my dad is shitting himself, like walking across this road, like, and like he didn't tell me that until later on. But yeah, like he was like, yeah, lad, I was terrified, but you just won't move your hands out my eyes.
I really am seeing that little early spark of freeze. That's what I was after.
And then I ended up throwing his sunglasses into lake, like by accident. Like, apparently, though,
by accident.
I don't know. Like I can't remember. But I were wild as a kid, mad. Always well behaved, but just wild. You know what I mean? Like wasn't scared of anything. I wish I was still like that.
I don't know. It's a lot cuter on a small kid and a lot more likely to get you into grown-up trouble when you're more of a grown-up. It gets less and less charming.
Yeah.
As soon as you hit puberty...
Yeah, fair enough, actually. Yeah. You can't be moving like a 4-year-old when you're 20. Yeah, fair enough.
Don't put your hands over my eyes when I'm crossing the road. not into it. Do not put me in a barrel.
Yeah, like I remember my mate Connor, who had actually been stabbed 4 times, I think. And separate.
4 separate occasions?
Yeah. All on the same bit of railway track near Tyldesley.
You've got to start wondering if it's you at that point, haven't you?
Well, he also... I don't know if I should tell this, but I will. He was also... You know, there was a lad in every town who claimed that a girl had snapped the banjo string.
Sure.
Apparently that happened to him under a table in one of the pubs when we were like 16.
Oh, right, no, okay, don't... Yeah, okay,
yeah,
okay, I get it.
Mental.
I completely understand. I can understand that if you're inexperienced and young and not really understanding of how things work.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Ow. But this is what I mean though. There were people like that everywhere. But so how did I get onto that from being young, rambunctious breeze?
You were clasping hands over Daddy's eyes. You were throwing sunglasses in the lake. And then I think we just got on to the more classic Tyldesley lake.
Where's that come from? But anyway, yeah.
We don't need to worry about where it's come from, Reezy.
We'll cut that.
We'll just ride the wave.
So, yeah, little rambunctious breeze. I was an innocent little one, and yeah, I must say, like, apparently my folks were always like, because they were doing stuff, mad stuff.
Yeah.
But then, like with my sister, they didn't give a shit. The second kid gets away with everything, mate.
That's it. You put all your effort into sort of like trying to do the first one right, and then you're sort of like,
keep the firstborn alive. But yeah, like it does make me laugh though, because like me and my sister are so different, man, and it just makes me laugh. Like, you know, on top my folks were. You know what I mean? Like they're weird, my folks. You do a small thing and the world's coming to an end. Like you spill over a drink and it's good night Vienna. But like you fuck up majorly and they're just like, alright, let's figure it out. And they're just like, what? They were weird, man. But yeah, I think I'll end on the first time. I've said I think I'll end it 6 times. And how long has this been going on for? An hour and 10 minutes. Fucking hell.
Right.
Wow. No, we'll just end it there. We'll end it there. Tune in next time if you want more stories.
All right. Cool. Nice one, Reese.
Cheers, mate.
Much obliged.
I feel like this is just what the Curo I end up in is going to sound like, innit?
I think it will, mate. The difference will be you will have a much harder time keeping track of which stories you've already told and why you're telling any particular story. My suggestion is just stop caring now. Just lean right on into it and just whatever you find yourself saying, just keep on going.
Cheers, mate.
Nice easy life.